iFour Technolab Private Limited, an ISO 9001-2015 certified and leading sustainable IT service provider. Presents tutorial of smart contract using Solidity. The purpose of this course is to give you complete understanding and hands of experience with smart contracting using Solidity for blockchain technology. In Chapter 5, Bitcoin Introduction, covers an overview of Bitcoin and demystifies various Bitcoin jargon. We are going to discuss the following topics. Bitcoin Introduction. How Bitcoin is different from traditional currencies. What is Bitcoin mining? Advantages of Bitcoin. Disadvantages of Bitcoin. Introduction. What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a distributed digital currency without any central authority or administration that can be sent by a peer-to-peer Bitcoin network without the need of intermediator. It is a cryptocurrency because it controls the creation and transfer of money using cryptography. Bitcoin history. On the 18th of August 2008, the domain name bitcoin.org has been registered. On the 31st of October 2008, a link to a paper by Satoshi Nakamoto, titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, was posted to a mailing list for cryptography. On the 9th of January 2009, the first version, Bitcoin v0.1, is issued. On the 6th of February 2010, Bitcoin Market, the first official cryptocurrency stock exchange, is launched. Work different from traditional currencies. Decentralization. Bitcoin's most important characteristic is that it is decentralized. No central authority controls the Bitcoin network. It is maintained by a group of volunteer coders and run by an open network of dedicated computers spread around the world. In traditional currencies, this function is fulfilled by banks, which gives them control over the traditional system. Limited supply. Traditional currencies like dollars, euros, yen, etc. have an unlimited supply. Central banks can issue as many as they want, and can attempt to manipulate a currency's value relative to others. With Bitcoin, on the other hand, the supply is tightly controlled by the underlying algorithm. A small number of new Bitcoins trickle out every hour, and will continue to do so, at a diminishing rate until a maximum of 21 million has been reached. This makes Bitcoin more attractive as an asset. In theory, if demand grows and the supply remains the same, the value will increase. Pseudonymity. While senders of traditional electronic payments are usually identified, for verification purposes, and to comply with anti-money laundering and other legislation, users of Bitcoin, in theory, operate in semi-anonymity. Since there are no central users, do not need to identify themselves when sending Bitcoin to another user. When a transaction request is submitted, the protocol checks all previous transactions to confirm that the sender has the necessary Bitcoin as well as the authority to send them. The system does not need to know his or her identity. Since the network is transparent, the progress of a particular transaction is visible to all. This makes Bitcoin not an ideal currency for criminals, terrorists or money launderers. Immutability. Bitcoin transactions cannot be reversed, unlike electronic fiat transactions. If a transaction is recorded on the network, it is impossible to modify it. In traditional currencies, the transaction can be reverted. Mining. Concept of Bitcoin mining. Bitcoin mining is the process of creating, or rather discovering, Bitcoin currency. Unlike real-world money that is printed when more is needed, Bitcoin cannot simply be willed into existence but has to be mined through mathematical processes. Bitcoin maintains a public ledger that contains past transactions, and mining is the process of adding new transactions to this ledger. CPU mining. Early Bitcoin client versions allowed users to use their CPUs to mine. The advent of GPU mining made CPU mining financially unwise as the hash rate of the network grew to such a degree that the number of bitcoins produced by CPU mining became lower than the cost of power to operate a CPU. The option was therefore removed from the core Bitcoin client's user interface. GPU mining. A GPU, or graphics processing unit, is responsible for the digital rendering in a computer system. The typical function of a GPU is to perform and control the rendering of visual effects and 3D graphics so the CPU doesn't have to get involved in minute details of video rendering services. Bitcoin mining ecosystem. In the flow, you can see the different scenarios of the Bitcoin mining ecosystem. In the first scenario, the sender directly sends Bitcoin to the receiver, so when the sender sends the Bitcoin, one transaction occurred on the blockchain network which will then be validated by Bitcoin miner. If the transaction is successfully validated, then Bitcoin transfer to the receiver. In the second scenario, the sender wants to exchange fiat currency with Bitcoin. So he sends money to money transfer service, and money transfer service will do exchange using transfer service will do exchange using Bitcoin transfer bank or his other wallet. In the third scenario, the sender wants to send Bitcoin to the receiver, but the sender wasn't enough coin, so the sender will exchange money with coin using money transfer service. After converting fiat currency, sender will receive Bitcoin, then she will transfer Bitcoin to the receiver. For transferring Bitcoin, there was a Bitcoin miner that will validate the transaction. If it is okay, then the coin will be credited in the receiver account. Of Bitcoin. No risk of inflation. Individuals can preserve coins. With Bitcoins, there are zero risks of inflation. Inflation usually occurs where the government issues more money over the year, decreasing the purchasing power of the people, on the whole. But the Bitcoin system was created with the sole purpose of being finite, and that number is speculated to be around 21 million. Thus, without the possibility of issuing excess currency, the threat of inflation comes down to almost zero. This point benefits both the seller and the buyer, in general. Reduced transaction fees. Transaction fees for Bitcoin payments are significantly lower in comparison to the ones made for credit and debit card purchases. This feature alone should make it a favorite go-to destination for small business ventures. No involvement of any third party. The entire process of Bitcoin transactions is peer-to-peer. There's no involvement of a third party. No one can freeze, tax, or claim your coins. They cannot be stolen and cannot be seized by the government in no possible circumstances. Quick payments. Credit card funds can be locked up for as long as a week, or even more, in case a customer asks for a chargeback. Thus, payment delays occur for no reason whatsoever. This is generally not the case with Bitcoins. They are usually much quicker in comparison to conventional credit card settlements. Note: Bitcoin settlements typically occur within 2 business days. A safer ecosystem. Each Bitcoin wallet transaction is signed by an authentic digital signature before it is sent to a blockchain. This complete process makes the app a safe place for storing and exchanging cryptocurrencies. Easy to use in any situation. As far as the international transportation of Bitcoins is concerned, the job is as easy as a piece of cake. All you will need is a simple memory stick, and you are sorted enough for the job. You can even use the same currency in a different country without going through the pains of contacting the local bank for any purpose of currency conversions. Note: you use the memory stick for transporting Bitcoins in it, in the same way you do audio, video, executable programs, and other related data. of Bitcoin. Transaction is irreversible. A possible disadvantage of Bitcoin technology is that every transaction is irreversible. Once the transaction is initiated, it's done. No one can reverse this transaction. Exposure to Bitcoin-specific scams and fraud. Bitcoin has seen more than its fair share of medium-specific scams, fraud, and attacks. These range from small-time Ponzi schemes, such as Bitcoin Savings and Trust, to massive hack attacks, susceptible to high price volatility. Although Bitcoin is the most liquid and easily exchanged cryptocurrency, it remains susceptible to wild price swings over short periods. Bitcoin's value doubled several times, only to halve in the first weeks of 2018, wiping out billions in market value almost overnight. Potential to be replaced by superior cryptocurrency. Bitcoin spawned a host of successor cryptocurrencies. Though many are structurally quite similar to Bitcoin, others make notable improvements. Some newer cryptocurrencies make it even harder to track money flows or identify users. Others use smart contract systems that hold service providers accountable for their promises. That's it in this video. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for our next video.